Wall Street says a Fed digital dollar spells destruction for banks. Well, banks buy Bitcoin, right? That's what we say. But this is going to get interesting. The U.S. Federal Reserve is considering whether to launch a CBDC like other nations, and bankers argue that's a dangerous idea. Well, of course they do. But you got to understand, banks, the Fed's got to protect their bottom line from the Bitcoin. They got to get in there and take control before Bitcoin takes over. And clearly you guys are not doing a great job. All right. I don't think the Fed's going to do better. I'll give you that. Okay. All right. Let's continue. Wall Street bankers are arguing that the Federal Reserve launching its own digital dollar could crack the foundations of banking as we know it. According to letters industry lobbyists sent to the U.S. Central Bank on Friday, the Fed invited comments on a report exploring the future of a potential central bank digital currency issued in the U.S. A government-run digital dollar could have profound implications on the financial sector and also on the stablecoins issued by the cryptocurrency firms. Quote, current research overwhelmingly undermines the purported benefits of a CBDC and instead indicates that a CBDC would seriously disrupt the financial system, significantly harming consumers and businesses, end quote, said Greg Baer, who runs one of Wall Street's lobbying arms in Washington, the Bank Policy Institute. Another banking group in Washington, the American Bankers Association, predicted in its own letter that a digital dollar would mean deposits accounting for 71% of bank funding are at risk of moving to the Federal Reserve. That would dramatically increase the cost of funding in the banking sector to an unsustainable letter, the ABA letter said. The Fed board has been weighing the logic of introducing a digital dollar, although officials have been careful to remain neutral and suggest that any plan should have the backing of Congress and the administration. That's the line, too, that Michael Barr, President Joe Biden's pick to be the next Fed vice chairman for supervision, echoed at his confirmation hearing last week. However, several new Fed board members were sworn in on Monday, marking an official transition to the era of Biden appointees. While a U.S. digital dollar has frequently come up in congressional hearings and debates over legislation, no bill has yet found traction that would encourage the Fed to set it in motion. The early negotiations over a CBDC often include its potential effect on stablecoins, and Fed Chair Jerome Powell has said he expects private stablecoins could coexist with the digital dollar. BPI's letter also argued that one of the most frequently cited reasons in support of a CBDC is that it would increase financial inclusion. Yet, as discussed further below, we are unaware of any substantiated use case for CBDC that would benefit low and moderate income people. Well, so here's the deal. Because the Fed would control the CBDC, the central bank digital currency, we know that the Fed would be able to essentially, out of thin air, print as much of the currency as they possibly could. And basically, they are the proponents, they are the cause to inflation because of this fact. So the number one effect on low to middle income people within the United States, citizens, that sort of thing, is inflation. We can see that taking place as things like gasoline to get to your job is more expensive, food to feed your family is more expensive. Just the day-to-day needs are rising in cost due to the overprinting of money by the U.S. government to fund things that are not within the U.S. This is what happens when we start to see the dissolution of governments and the managerial class. It's a pretty common problem that has run throughout history that I highly encourage you to take a look at. We could do all the same tropes like the Roman Empire, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. But you end up, the basic idea is you end up with a managerial class that has no real skills, that puts all of the burden of the things that the actual work that needs to be done on the lower class, the working class, that then ends up in a position where they can no longer afford to buy anything, because to pay the managerial class, they decide to print more money to make sure that they maintain their lifestyle, thereby devaluing the actual money and assets that the working class has. And then you spiral into this sort of transformation. Transformations aren't bad. Okay. Transformations that we've gone through in the past, every single one that we look at, whether it's industrial or agricultural, or anything like that, yes, they include some sort of difficult time, right? But then they get a little bit better. What we are seeing and witnessing, which is a great time to live through, in my humble opinion, is a digital transformation. And part of that digital transformation is obviously going to affect the currencies and the way that trade works. And that is what we're seeing with cryptocurrency and the different implementations and the responses that different governments and nation states have to it, as well as the managerial class. So I think that it's very interesting to just look at from the outside. I don't have strong opinions. I just have basically ideas that I play with when surrounding this sort of talk. I am anti-CBDC right now as my stance, and maybe I changed my mind, and I am pro-Bitcoin, right? So I'm anti-CBDC, pro-cryptocurrency. And then if we want to get into things outside of cryptocurrency, I start looking at those more like securities, whether that be Ethereum, Flux, name any board-led project, Chia, whatever it is, right? I typically look at those more like securities, and technology. That doesn't mean I don't get excited about that technology, like super excited about Web 3.0, super excited about being able to deploy Docker images on the blockchain via Flux. This is all really exciting stuff. It's just when we start talking about the actual money supplies and the differences, I don't really consider a lot of them to be that, right? And that's kind of the clarification I have there. I hope you enjoyed this clip from the Crypto Mining Morning Show every Monday through Friday, 7:45 a.m. Pacific and 10:45 a.m. Eastern Time. You can check out more clips here, or if you're interested in checking out the entire live show, you can check that out down here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday.